Hello there everyone, and welcome to another fly tying video. As always, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it would mean a lot to me. And also, if you haven't visited my web shop, it's called Nordic Anglers, and you can see all the materials for all the fly tying videos I do in there. Today we're gonna tie a pike fly, but what I want to do today is kind of turn back time and move a little back into where the pike fly fishing, at least here in Northern Europe, started. And it all started with flies like these. These are flesh pike streamers. They are very, very simple. They're composed of basically two different types of flesh, some bucktail and a beadhead to give it a bit of weight. There is a lot of really cool and awesome looking big pike flies out there, and those are cool and nice. But I also I do this myself. I tend to sometimes get a bit excited and tie something that is very, very complicated and has a ton of different materials, and that's a good way to go because those flies, they catch a lot of pike. But it's important to remember flies like these as well, because these catch a lot of pike as well. They're simple, they're easy, they're fast to tie, and they're really, really, really easy to cast. So if you find yourself having trouble casting all these really, really big flies with discs and tails and a very big complicated tube system with a lot of attachments and stuff like that, then maybe you should take a deep breath, take a step back, look at your box and say, perhaps what I need is a fly like this that casts easily all day, every day, is inexpensive to tie, and that will bring the joy back into pike fishing. And also, if you haven't started fly fishing for pike yet, then you can easily cast one of these without having specialized class 9 gear with a specific pike taper and stuff like that. So today we're gonna do a fly tying tutorial with some of the earliest pike flies that are very, very proven, have worked really, really well for many, many, many years, and they still work very, very well. So if you're just beginning to pike fly fish, then watch this. Or if you've tied pike flies for a long time, then this is also something I would urge you to have in your box. Okay, here goes. Now here comes the fly. So now we're about to tie this flesh pike streamer. In here, in the vise here, I have a hook. This is the Ahrex light predator stinger. It's predator stinger. It's the 351, and that is a hook I helped design and really, really is my all-time favorite pike hook. But before we can start tying, we have to attach either a small, not a small, but a tungsten bead in 5 millimeters. Or a cycle bead, a gold head in 5 millimeters. So now I've attached one of these. Just gonna see if everything is as good as it can be. 1 second. So that's a bit better for the setup. I've attached one of these, and this will make the fly bounce and jig very, very much in the water. And that's one of the things about this fly that makes it so great. So I'm going to attach my tying thread. This is a Vivus 100 Dinya GSP thread, a nice thread for pike flies. And basically what we need to tie this fly, and I have these in a lot of different colors. The flesh that we use here is called soft flesh. It's a fairly inexpensive flesh. There is a lot in the packages, as you can see here. The colors are good, and it's a very, very smooth flesh, so it's very easy to get out of the pike's teeth. As I said, you can make this in a lot of different color combinations. I've just done some for my box in gold and green. This is purple and a darkish brownish color, a color that I really like. But also, black and purple and pink and all those different colors are great for this. Basically, as I said, this is going to be one of the easiest to tie pike flies and also one of the easiest to cast. I start by making a small bundle of tying thread here. Then I take 2 bundles of the colors of flesh that I want. In this case, I want the purple and the dark brown here. Some nice colors that suits each other really well. Then I take the 2 bundles, and then I put them together. And then I try to get them to be spread out between my fingers, and then I take this and put it on top of the other. Then I fold it back, and I maybe I should show it with this hand. I kind of let it move along the fingers. I put it on the index finger, and then I move my thumb so that it spreads out, and then I can fold this over here in order to mix these two flesh together. So my tail here is going to be compiled only of this flesh material, and then I have, as you can see, the ends here are not uniform in length. That's because I pull on some of these and only some of them, and that gives more movement, a more lively fly. So then I take this and tie it onto the hook, and I want a relatively long fly. So basically, I only leave about maybe a fifth or something like that to point forward, and then I attach the tying thread here, apply some tying thread and some pressure, and then really use a lot of pressure to ensure that my flesh stays here, because this will give me a durable fly that will last a long time and will stand up to the tear and wear and tear that the pikes do. Then I add a bit of sabagat right there. I take the flesh that is pointing forward, and then I push it backwards like this. And then I tie straight on top of that as well. This gives me, this I do for two reasons. The first reason is I get a bit of tapering now, and I get a bit of tail here where this part actually is a bit more dense. And also I have now used two different layers of tying thread. It's secured with two different points of thread, and that means that the fly here is going to be insanely durable. Then I take my tying thread. I could easily not do this and not have the barb here wrapped, the hook shank wrapped, but that doesn't matter. So basically I just do it like this. Then I'm going to take a bundle of bucktail. And this is to ensure that my fly has some bulk, has some volume. And as I said, this is going to be a really fast but and fairly inexpensive, but completely deadly pike fly. Then I take a bundle of bucktail, and black bucktail is nice for this. If you have purple, you could do that, or whatever color. But the black looks good on this color combination. I actually, because I was just tying for my box, I used the black also for this, and I was planning on making some purple and some pink and black ones, and I'm gonna use the black bucktail for that as well. You keep it simple, you know. And basically, I try to get as close to the bead here as possible, and then I tie the bucktail so it's pointing forward. So it's pointing forward. It's pointing out over the eye here. And then I apply some tying thread, just some loose turns before I really apply the pressure. Now I have all this bucktail. It's all the way around the hook shank, and it's pointing forward. And then I take my bead here and I use that to force the bucktail backwards. The reason why I do this is I want to reverse tie the bucktail here. And the reason I do this is because we're going to make a hackle out of flesh in a second. I want the bucktail to actually force the flesh hackle to give it more bulk, give it more volume, and really stand out. So now I wrap the thread many times here not on top of the bucktail, but basically to force it a bit more facing backwards, like so. It's still gonna be a big corona, as you can see. I've left all of this also to give it more bulk, but it's gonna have some. I'm gonna have some control over how much this actually sticks out into every which way. Again, tie close to the bucktail without tying on top of it. There we go. Then I'm gonna make a dubbing loop. So it doesn't has to be a big dubbing loop. I'm just gonna take the thread and make a dubbing loop here, like so. I'm gonna hang that off to the side. I'm gonna zoom a bit more in so you can. I'm gonna zoom a bit so you can see a bit more easy. So I have my dubbing loop now. It's here off to the side here, as you can. I hopefully see. Here it is, the dubbing loop. And then I'm gonna add some flesh to that dubbing loop. So again, I'm going to take the same colors as before. If you want, you can even use a third color or mix in 4 or 5 colors or whatever. But 2 colors is what I normally do. It's easy and it's fast, and it gives the colors looks nice if it has some kind of color scheme. You can do a complete silver one if you want that, or whatever. The thing here is to have a fly that is really shiny and sparkly, easy to cast and fast to tie. So basically, I take 2 bundles of the soft flesh here, like I did before. Just gonna go a bit further away so it's easier for you to see. So I have the 2 bundles here. Now I take them again. I try to get them to spread out between my fingers and then fold it over one another. So basically I try to mix these colors in between one another as much as possible. Pull out every now and then and just mix them up and stuff like this. I'm gonna lose some of the flesh here, but that's okay. Because ideally I want this to be a mixed flesh, to have that mixed effect. The bundles you want here, you can vary the size depending on how big you want your hackle, but basically you want a fairly big bundle for this to be perfect. I'm gonna zoom in again and show you. So now I have my bundle of flesh here. It's nicely mixed. And then I'm going to take my dubbing loop here. Then I'm going to put the flesh into the dubbing loop. And that's why it's nice to have a slightly bigger dubbing loop. So I have put the flesh inside the loop here. And it's very important that one of the sides is longer than the other. I don't know if you can see that here. Yeah, you can see that. You can see that this side is shorter than this one. This will give a more complete look of the fly, and it will give it a nice taper, and it will make the fly swim better in the water. Well, basically back to the fly here. Then I'm going to distribute this in the dubbing loop, so it's going to be spread out over a longer stretch of tying thread. So now it's, as you can see, I have distributed the flesh here in the loop, like this. Then I'm going to take my dubbing reel, and this CF Design one is just out of this world. And then you're going to see a nice trick, because this always looks really nice. And here it's important not to drop the flesh. So start spinning the dubbing reel. And then what you get is something that it basically just looks like a ball of mayhem now. And that's okay, because we can fix that. We can fix this ball of mayhem and make it into a nice, awesome looking. So basically just take your dubbing needle and just very carefully untangle these. And because this flesh here is so smooth and so soft and easy to work with, you can untangle all of this here. This is not even a needle. This is something for tube flies. But as you can see now, the flesh here is getting really solid. There is not the ball anymore, and the individual strands of flesh are off to the sides and are looking good and kind of like looks very much more like a hackle. To make this more strong and more durable, I'm just gonna do the loop thing one more time, help the flesh move around. And now all the individual flesh strands are going to be caught inside. They're going to be caught inside between the two different strands of tying thread that is GSP thread. So this also makes a very durable, very strong fly. And basically now I'm ready. What I do now is I try to force the flesh down on both sides of the tying thread here. And then I very carefully hold all the flesh back. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see that. And then I turn this. As I turn, I fold everything back. and I turn this, and I turn this as close to the bucktail for the first couple of turns, and every time I've turned, I simply just fold everything back here, hold everything back, and this is probably the most, not probably, but this is the most difficult technique to master of this, on this fly. And I fold everything back, force everything back, then I do another turn, and then I get this really, really big hackle of soft flesh. This could probably also be used, this technique, for, let's say, steelhead flies and maybe even for Danish sea trout night flies and stuff like that. So I'm just really carefully pulling out all these strands here so they don't get entangled and look terrible. One more, and make sure everything is folded nice behind every time you make a turn. And as I said, this part here is the tricky part, and it's also this part where you have to negotiate and kind of get used to the amount of flesh material you need. And of course, the more you need, the more you use, the more bulky your fly is going to be. and that can be the trick for some days, but other days you want a fly that is not as bulky. So basically now, there we go. I'm going to make a whip finish. Cut off the dubbing loop, and then the fly is done, like so. And as you can see now, you have a fairly big fly. You can take your dubbing needle once more and just comb through, or a comb would probably be even better. Just comb through this. Take a look at the finished at the end result. If you want, just apply a bit of force with your fingers to this. Clamp down on the bucktail to make it not as big. I'm just gonna show you here how it looks. 1 second, just gonna go a bit down there, like so. And here you have it. This is a very nice tapering fly. It's gonna really pulsate out in the water, and as you can see, as soon as when this is, the water is gonna make this fly, when you retrieve it, it's gonna collapse a bit. But as soon as you stop retrieving, then it's gonna pop like that and really offer a big broad side to the pike, and that's something that they cannot resist. So basically, a nice way of doing a fairly easy and simple pike fly. And as I said, you can vary this in whatever colors works best for your home water. If it's gold or silver or copper or even a combination of all of those, then you have a simple pike fly that looks like $1 million. Because the flesh is so inexpensive, then also, even though this looks like I've just tied a fly that costs around $1 million in bling, then that is actually not the case. And you will have in a package of soft flesh, you will have a lot of flesh materials to tie several of these flies. So there it is, the biggish flesh pike streamer. And I have to say, this is not the original one. The original one is done a bit differently. I have just done this in the way I think is the best way to make it stand out, to make it pop, to make it have some bulk, have some weight. Have some bulk out in the water and really just pulsate and vibrate and work great. So there we go, the flesh pike streamer. Thank you for watching. Oh, and remember, all of these materials are of course available in my shop, Nordic Anglers. Thank you.